I know this is rather crude, but here is a summary of our trip so far. We started in St. Ignace, Michigan, went across Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, and Montana to Glacier. And then on our last video, we went down to Craters of the Moon, spent the night there. And today, I'm going to tell you about our trip between Craters of the Moon and Zion. Heading south on I-15, it's the first interstate trip really that we've taken other than those short jaunts. Surrounded by mountains on all sides. Evidently the fire is still affecting mountains, especially over here in the southwest. Well, here's the Mormon temple, I think. There's a tabernacle and then there's the temple. People can get in the tabernacle but not in the temple unless you're Mormon. We drove a long way today, but we wanted to make a stop at Salt Lake City. We're not sure if we're going to go farther or not.
All these huge buildings around.
Yeah, huge buildings surrounding the temple square. A lot taller than the temple, which is kind of not what I expected. Here's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints office building, and it goes on and on. There's a good-looking guy, Joseph and Emma Smith. The flowers here are simply amazing. They're everywhere. Everywhere, in all different varieties. Like every building. Even down the street where we parked. After looking around the square for a while, we tried to find the Mormon Tabernacle, and we thought this might be it, but it turns out that this is a large convention center, and we could not get anywhere inside of it except near the elevators. But then we walked around some more and saw guides walking around. And these two young ladies, even though it was late at night, almost 9 o'clock, they offered to give us a tour. Where we're going to come in on the middle of that tour and just give you a little piece of it. But they're talking about this church building, which was built as a memorial to a miracle that they said happened. And it was, I believe, the first church in the community when the settlers came.
So they started to build farms. And one day, their farm had a huge cricket invasion. It was a bunch of locusts that had come. And they write in their journals that they would step in their farms and they would walk through, and the locusts would cover all the way up to their ankles. Wow. It was just that bad. Wow. And so they tried everything to stop the locusts. They tried to fire them, they tried to drown them, and they tried to pick them up and take them, but nothing was working. But the pioneers, they're very faithful people, and they relied heavily on the power of prayer.
Mm-hmm. And because of that, miracles happened. And it came in the form of the seagulls, because seagulls are native to Utah. And as you know that seagulls, they would come and eat your food and go. So this was their miracle. The seagulls would come and eat the crickets and go and throw it up back in the Salt Lake and come and do it like for 3 weeks until it was clear. So this was the miracle.
Wow.
Neat.
Yeah, so this is a pretty famous to most of the people that live here in Utah. And what this was originally built for was for church services, something that they would have on Sundays. And so this is actually the most original building we have here on Temple Square. It was started back in 1877. It was finished in 1880. So it took about 3 years to build. And it has a very Gothic style to it.
This is another view of the temple from near the tabernacle. It was damaged in an earthquake in March, and it's undergoing a 4-year restoration project to make it earthquake-proof. The last stop on the tour was the Mormon Tabernacle, which you see in the background. It looks a lot smaller from the outside than I'm sure it looks on the inside. Unfortunately, we were not able to go inside because of COVID. After the tour, we walked a little bit around town, but it was getting late. It looks like a beautiful city, and I wouldn't mind coming back someday. This house, I believe, is the home of Joseph Smith. And as we left, we took a picture of the Capitol building. Then we drove down to Payson, Utah, where we spent the night. Here's a typical, well, it's a larger Mormon church, but you'll notice that instead of a cross on top, it has the angel Moroni. There he is, with his golden trumpet. I think we're heading toward the source of one of those fires. It almost looks like I could see the smoke coming up.
15 miles an hour wind speed out of the west.
You can see how the smoke is getting worse. The trees, even real near us, are
Showing the
getting
sun.
foggy. Over here you can see how trees just kind of fade away and the sun is even clouded. We were very close to the fires. They were off to our east as we drove. As you can see here, we saw helicopters and planes dropping something, fire retardants or something, and we wondered if we are even going to be able to see the canyon country. Did we make it? Were we able to see anything? You'll find out in our next video.